Hey everybody, I'm Caroline Rudderman. I'm a Reiki master teacher of about 12, 13 years. I love the art of Reiki, and I am here to teach you a little bit about the hand positions for working on other people. So if we are talking about hand positions, we're already past the stages of the consultation. We're past the stages of letting people know what is about to happen. We are kind of at a space where that person is engaged. They've said yes. They're relaxed. They're comfortable. You've already washed your hands at that point, right? Like to have nice clean hands when we're working on another person. So maybe the person is sitting up, maybe the person is laying down, maybe somebody is in a hospital bed, maybe somebody's laying down on the side of a couch or laying down on a massage table. So I want you to just keep in mind that the hand positions are going to look different depending on if you're sitting or standing. If they're laying down or if they're sitting in a chair, or however you guys, maybe you're both sitting in the grass together, just kind of on a sunny day on a hill, right? So the hand positions I want you to think of as regions as opposed to specific ways that your hands have to be allocated. Another layer of this that's really important is that, the size of the person, if you're working on a child, the hand positions are going to look really different than if you're working on somebody who's 6'4", right? And who just has like a larger human body. So try not to get too caught up in how the hand positions are organized, but I want you to think of them as we're crossing, like moving across regions of the head, neck, and shoulders. So today I'm just going to show you the hand positions for the head, and I'm going to demonstrate them on myself. And another layer of confusion, and I shouldn't say confusion, but another layer of authenticity with this work is that the hand positions, the regions that we're covering are going to look different if we're working on ourselves, right? So if somebody is in front of me, kind of with their feet out that way, right, I might be working over their eyes like this. But if I'm working on myself, I can't do that comfortably. So I'm just going to find ease in my own body. I'm going to show you the regions of the hand positions for myself, and then we'll talk a little bit about how to hold ourselves in a comfortable way. Because truly, it is so important that we are comfortable first. So before you even start with the hand positions, you've used the bathroom. Like I said, you've washed your hands. You've let that other person know. If you need to like put on the fan or open a window or get comfortable, right? Make sure the temperature is good for both of you. So there's kind of a layer of like getting comfortable first, which I think is very important, because if you're shivering, that doesn't make a good relaxed session. The Reiki is going to completely flow through you to that other person or towards yourself. And so I just want you to remember that the state of mind, the state of being, the state of awareness that you are experiencing in your own form absolutely imprints on the flow of Reiki that you offer to that other person. So the hand positions are just in many ways a very superficial layer of delivery. So try not to get too caught up in all of the mechanics of it, and just remember that there's a lot of context for how we administer Reiki and how we offer Reiki to another person. And this is going to be a little video series, so we're just covering just the hand positions for the head, neck, and shoulders today. So I'm going to show you on myself, and think of this as regions, okay, as opposed to very specific hand positions. So the hand positions for the eyes, as well as the sinuses and the front of the brain and the forehead, are gonna go, and I usually kind of begin like almost above the cheekbones. Like if I was gonna work on another person, my fingertips would probably be at the cheekbones. But because I'm working on myself here, almost the palms of the hand are right over the eyes. And in this space, I really try to soften my wrists. I try to soften my knuckles. And my hands are just gently cupped. And this is a really nice hand position because you're accessing, like I said, the sinuses here. You're accessing the front of the brain, which if somebody is having a lot of anxiety, all of the blood drains from the front of the brain. So this is a nice way to sort of start to stimulate that part of the brain and the nervous system to be like, it's okay. Like your functions can kind of resume safely here. So if you're working on a little kid, your hands might be covering their entire face, or a baby, right? Your hands might be covering like that whole region versus if you're just up here. And the thing to know is that like try not to get into like any crooked wrist situations. I've been doing Reiki for a long time, so I'm comfortable holding my arms and shoulders up. But if you know that you need a little extra support, you might rest your arms on the chair, right? The elbows on the chair, so you have a little bit of support. Okay. So we're gonna just move around the globe. Okay. So the next hand positions are the sides of the brain. I always like to think of the sides of the brain as really like the sides of the face. So I like to work in front of the ear, right? So I'm kind of like, you could be like the back of the head, a little bit further if you're kind of feeling called to have to be at the back of the head. You could be at the front here of the ear, like I'm doing. And this is just when you breathe. The rule of thumb is 2 minutes per hand position, but you can stay much longer. Or if you're kind of getting the sense that it's time to move, you move. General rule of thumb is 2 minutes. Okay, so, and you don't have to do these in any order. I'm just showing you as like starting over the eyes, sides of the head. This is a great brain balancing position. And then we move to the back of the head. So I'm going to show you what this looks like from over here. So if I'm working on my own back of the head, it could be like this. I might interlace and be like this. Okay. If I'm holding somebody's head, my fingers might slide under the neck, under that groove of the neck, and then kind of come up a little bit. Or I might sort of wiggle my hands to here, right? If their head is resting. Like I said, if I'm just doing my own self, I'd probably be like this. Now, if somebody is laying face down, or if they're sitting up in a chair, it doesn't necessarily, like you'd still have full access to the back of the brain. So this is almost as if somebody is laying down. Sometimes people will just lift their head and let you go under. I try to leave the person as weighted and relaxed as they are. Like I just assume that somebody is fully asleep in their own way. If you have any questions about that in particular, please type in the comments. I'm happy to support you as we're moving through these hand positions. So we've got the region of the eyes and the sinuses. We've got the brain balance side of the head. We've got the back of the head. And the back of the head is, at the top of the spine, at that part of the brain, is really the reptilian brain. This is where our sort of oldest memories are stored. And that is also an energetic and information superhighway. Like, that's all the information that's going from the brain up and down the spine. All of the information that is coming from the body and from those nerves and from the organs all comes up here. And so I'm somebody who holds a lot of tension in that part of my body. And so, really holding that place can be really deeply nourishing for a lot of people. It feels so good. It's that place that, like, the base of the skull there, that is really the first place that we're held as infants. And when we don't have the muscles to support our head yet, that's where we are held. And so that can be a really, really nourishing position to just let the Reiki flow to. So there's a lot of different areas in the back of the head that might feel accessible. Like, sometimes you just can't reach a certain part of somebody's body, and that's okay. Or sometimes they're asking you not to touch a certain part of the body. Sometimes a person might have had surgery there and you're not going to touch the wound. So there's a lot of reasons that, you know, you do the best you can. These areas are not meant to be done in perfection. If you can get close to an area, that's great. The energy is going to circulate, especially in the region. If you know that you're working on a part of the body that you're like, oh, I really want to touch, but this person said no, you do not touch. You can hover above the body. So the places that I will never touch are on another person are like throat, breasts, and genitals. And I'll always ask somebody if they've had any, if there's any fresh tattoos or burns or anything like that, just because I don't want to accidentally touch something that doesn't need to be touched. Or sometimes people are just like, I don't like my feet being touched. End of story, period. And that's just what it is, okay? So, like the hand positions, again, are for people who have consented to touch. So we are kind of moving our way around the head and then the top of the head, right? And so this is kind of what it looks like, the top of the head. You might interlace the fingers and let your hands kind of rest on yourself. But anywhere on the crown of the head is going to be the hand position. So you can kind of do here and here. If somebody's laying down or if they're even sitting up, you might do hands at the head and at the heart center. It's technically not a head, neck, and shoulders position, but it just feels really nice to get those two big energy centers relaxed and softening. And again, as you might have just noticed how my hand was like this, right? That's a little too rigid. We don't need rigid, right? I think that, like, I've heard a lot of like old school that you should be doing like mitten hands, and it works just as effectively as if your hands are relaxed and maybe a little spacious. Maybe your hands are a little bit more spread. Okay, so as long as you're not doing any like crunchy thing on your own body, as long as you're kind of like finding that you can be relaxed in your body, that is very important. But again, you can't do this wrong and you can't mess it up. And even if you do something like wrong, if somebody's like, oh no, I don't want you touching my face, then you just say, okay, thank you for letting me know. And you just, incorporate that into future sessions. Okay, so over the eyes and sinuses, sides of the head, brain balance, back of the head, right, the kind of lizard brain, top of the base of the skull, top of the vertebrae there, top of the spinal cord, the crown, the top of the head. Just remembering this is like connection to their spiritual self, right? And I always include the neck position. So if I'm working on myself, I might just go ahead and relax my hand, or maybe down by the sinus, down by the thyroid. If I'm working on another person, like I said, I just don't. That's part of my personal practice. I don't touch other people's throats. So um, there's a lot of trauma that people have around their throats. And if you have somebody who has expressly said this is okay, even in my teacher's master manual, there is the photos where these hand positions are being demonstrated. He shows that he's touching somebody's throat. And then, people do know the difference between a professional touch and a personal touch. But for me, I just work off the body. That's just been my rule for over a decade, and that's just how I do it. So I'm just here to share how I do it. If you are in a real time situation and it feels okay, please trust your instincts. Please trust your intuition. Please check in with the person that you're working with, because their comfort as well as your comfort are a priority. So I might be working at the back of the neck. If somebody's laying down, again, I might slide my hand in that little gap space, and then the other hand would just be hovering. And it does help if I'm hovering to keep my eyes at least a little bit open, because sometimes if my eyes are closed and I'm just like feeling the vibe, sometimes my hands drift a little bit. So if I'm hovering, I do try to keep my eyes at least a little bit open. So those are the found. Oh, and then of course the shoulders, where if I was working on somebody else's shoulders, if they're sitting in a chair, and I'm standing behind them, my hands, imagine their head is right here, my hands would just be resting on their shoulder. I call this the Sears photo. It's kind of just that, like, I don't know. It's just a silly way to think of that hand position. And just remembering that the shoulder is a whole joint, okay? So you might want to sort of like slide your fingers. If somebody's laying down, for example, you might slide your fingers down a little bit, right around the shoulder blades there. You might, if you're working on somebody's shoulders, you might be a little bit more in a V position, or you might be a little bit straighter. Okay. You might want to work on somebody on the outside of their shoulder, or you might work on the sort of like the front of the shoulder as well. This isn't how I work on myself. I'm just trying to do a little demonstration. Um, and okay, so that is the foundation, is these 6 hand positions. So front of the eyes, sides of the brain, back of the brain, top of the skull, the crown, the throat. You can do 2 hands of the throat, or you can do front and back, shoulders. So that is the foundation. Those are the regions that we're going to be working through for the head, neck, and shoulders. The thing that you can be more specific with is that if you notice that somebody's like, they've got a sinus infection, you might take your fingertips, almost like as if you're like water is dripping, and you might, like, this is also if somebody's laying down, and you might just kind of hover your fingers just underneath the eye socket, kind of where the orbital bone is here, and just gently like allow the Reiki to flow into that space. You might just be crossing the eyes here. These are additional hand positions. You might be doing what I call the Spock, which is sliding the hands in the front and the back of the ear. And that gets all these like beautiful muscles of the jaw as well, and some of these muscles of the back, the neck up here. You might also just kind of cup the ear, right, on both sides. If somebody has hearing aids in, you're not going to want to do that because sometimes if you get too close to the hearing aid, it goes wow. So that might be something that you just also are a little off of the body. Or if that person is comfortable taking out their hearing aids, just know that your communication might drop a little bit if they can't hear you. So again, we're always just adapting to what is happening in real time, knowing that you cannot mess this up and you cannot do it wrong. There's a lot of like little hand positions that you can continue exploring. So if you know that somebody has stuff going on with their teeth or their jaw, you can kind of come right into the jaw. This is again a place that's also very close to the throat. So you might just check in with them if your fingertips are kind of like on the corner of their jaw and say, "Is this okay?" You can say, "Is this okay? I can work hands off if you prefer." So it's just as easy to do this. And does it matter if you're out here versus right here versus touching? I would say it does not. I would say trust your intuition. Don't be afraid to touch though. I've noticed over the years that, with consent, of course, I've noticed over the years that the hand positions over, especially over the face, people get a little like a little nervous about touching over the face. And I'm going to encourage you to give it a try, to give it a try because we have so many beautiful nerves across our face, and touch is also very deeply healing. Again, it's not appropriate for a million reasons, but when you kind of feel that that person is comfortable, they've said touch is okay, you checked in with that at those positions, um, give it a try because it actually helps to relax your arms if you're not like fully suspended. Even just having like a few fingertips touching can make a huge difference in how like the relaxation of your whole shoulders and arms. So it can be really beneficial for you, and it can just feel really nice for to receive that kind of hands-on on touch. You know. So give it a try. Like I said, there's a lot of like little things that you can kind of do. If you're kind of noticing that there's a part of somebody's vertebrae that feels like oh, that area like feels really tender, just know that you can use your fingertips like little laser beams. You can use the flat of your hand. You can cup your hand. You can, like I said, do the little Spock or spots. Okay, so you can kind of allow the fingertips to sort of drip Reiki right down. So there's a lot of room to play, and just know that, sometimes you might want to be up at the forehead, sometimes you might want to be over the eyes, sometimes you might be kind of working a little bit more on one side. But this is just a way that you have some options to kind of get you started. Okay, please let me know how it goes. And one thing that I do have to say is I love practicing on friends and family because they're like the perfect guinea pigs. I mean, perfect guinea pigs, you know what I mean? It's like they sometimes are willing to give it a shot, and it's low stakes, right? Because they already love you. They might be needing a little bit of relief from some tension headaches, from life, right? So, and it can be a very forgiving audience, if they're willing to let you kind of practice and build up your confidence. Sometimes people are moving towards professionally wanting to open it or wanting to add this into their established routine. So don't be shy about sharing Reiki with people. It's truly a gift. It's a gift for yourself, And it's a beautiful gift to be able to share with another person, that gift of relaxation, that gift of connecting with each other, that gift of connecting with themselves. So we'll keep chatting. I've got a million little lessons sitting in my heart for you, and I'm just so grateful that we get to spend some time together and continue sharing this really beautiful practice that's made such a huge impact in my life and the people around me. So I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day and be well.